Hi, I'm Dave Raffo from Channel Partners and the MSP Summit, and I'm here for this edition of Channel Partners TV, what we call CPTV, with Gagan Singh, the CEO of cybersecurity vendor Blackpoint Cyber. Thanks for joining me, Gagan.
Thanks, Dave. Great to be with you.
As always, a lot going on in the world of cybersecurity these days. Let's talk about something that MSP is a big part of the MSP client base are SMBs. So
Yeah.
what are the big emerging threats that SMBs are facing now? I think why has identity become such a critical attack vector? We hear a lot about that these days.
Yeah, listen, according to Verizon, SMBs unfortunately now account for roughly about 96% of documented ransomware events.
Wow.
They don't have the same sort of capabilities that, large enterprises can put to work. And with AI and other things, and we'll talk about some of that, we're facing an environment where you're getting increased software vulnerability exploits, and that have surged to about 31% of initial sort of breach entry points. And FBI, recently put out a report saying that business email compromise and corporate account takeovers are now resulting in over $3 billion in losses. Now, that's a lot of money for small businesses to be coughing up. And all of this is amplified, heavily by AI-assisted social engineering, AI-assisted exploit detections, identifications. But we think in general, I think broadly speaking, identity-based attacks are really the new parameter. And making identity threat detection and just response to it extremely critical for these underserved organizations.
Yeah, so I guess the days when SMBs were considered too small to attack are long gone,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So what does Blackpoint do to help the small to mid-sized businesses and their MSPs who serve them? What do you do to help them get ahead of these threats? I see you recently rolled out a new identity threat AI SOC agent. So tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah, listen, I think that AI is going to continue to play an increasing role in building these new novel attacks, and also, with agentification, I think the threat actors are going to be able to deploy these en masse. And so you're going to need two things. One is a real-time detection of, these new novel threats, and B, you're going to need AI to be able to scale up to stop a thwart a incoming mass ransomware event. So we launched our agentic AI response inside our SOC, where we contain these threats a whole lot faster than we used to be able to just even a month or two ago. And we're seeing as low as 21-second containment of these new threats. And as you can imagine, timing is everything when a threat actor makes it into your network. Stopping them in their stead, as quickly as possible is of prime importance. So we made a tremendous leap just in the short few weeks ago in stopping these bad guys within seconds, not minutes.
So, what advice would you give MSPs looking to, to do the best they can with security for the rest of 2026?
Yeah, sticking with the identity theme, you gotta focus on identities. I urge all MSPs to look at their identity layer and make sure that they have something in place to stop the threat actors as quickly and shut them down, because SMBs don't have the resources to pay ransomware. And even, if all it is a hit on your business where you're not able to operate for some amount of time, that can be crushing for a lot of small businesses. And so protect the identity layer. That vector is only going to become more and more compromised, and threat actors are going to go after it, whether it's social engineering and other ways. Protect that identity layer as much as you can with the right response and a timely response, because it is going to be key as we go into the future here.
So cyber insurance is a big opportunity right
Yeah.
now, and probably a big necessity for some. What should MSPs be doing to prioritize their growth, growing their practice around insurance and the compliance requirements that needed to secure that?
Yeah, I great question, and we see this discussed a lot. And in addition to your standard MFA and tested backups, there's three things I would call out for MSPs to worry about. Um, have a 24/7 MDR, not just a EDR or a managed EDR. Carriers are not accepting signatures around, AV, which was 10 years ago. Now, even EDR alone doesn't actually clear the bar for them. They want proof that alerts are actually being worked on and actively managed around the clock, not just a tool that fires notifications during business hours only. So that's a given. Take an MDR, not just an EDR. The second is, carriers are, they recognize the threats and the scale of threats that are emerging. They run external surface attack surface scans. They demand exported logs, conditional access screenshots, deployment reports. It used to be good old days of, a signed letter where you attest and say, yes, we have this. Doesn't pass anymore. Carriers are doing a lot of work up front to make sure that you are actually holding yourself to these standards. So MSPs need to be generating and retaining this evidence on a continuous basis, not just scrambling at insurance renewal times. And the last one I would say is emerging areas that they got to worry about: vendor supply chain risk questionnaires, cloud posture audits, AI ML related control questions that were starting to show up in applications. And I would say, stakes are pretty real, like 40 to 300% increase in premiums or outright denial for those that don't have this evidence-based posture in place. And the sad reality is that 73% of SMBs today are currently failing in their 2026 assessments by carriers. And that's a huge problem. And so we think that, this is a strong wedge for MSPs to lead with MFA, MDR, backup readiness as a service, and not just as a compliance checkbox, because insurers and carriers are doing a lot more work to make sure that you actually have these capabilities in-house.
Yeah, that's great advice in an area that's changed a lot and continues to change in a scary way.
Yeah.
So, what are you looking forward to? We have the MSP Summit coming up soon. What are you looking forward to at the conference, and what can we expect from Blackpoint there?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be at the event. We're proud to be the platinum sponsor of this year's event. In addition to seeing us on the expo hall floor, we're at booth 600, by the way. You can also catch me on the keynote stage on Wednesday morning, where I'll be talking about cybersecurity and the AI threat defense story and how we're putting AI to work in defense of MSPs and their SMB clients. Come by and say hello. I'm always keen to listen from our partners and just meet the community in general. We couldn't be more excited to be there this year.
That's great. I'm looking forward to that keynote, and thanks for joining me here today. And all of you watching this, remember, we hope to see you at the MSP Summit, September 28th to 30th at Orlando, and stop by and see Gagan and the Blackpoint team who will be down there.
Thanks for doing this, Dave. Great
All
to be with
right.
you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers.